My name is Paul Reid, and I'm an NPS Technical Representative with Nikon Canada, and I'm here to explain how you can shoot HDR. First, what is HDR? It stands for High Dynamic Range, and the dynamic range represents the range of tonal detail captured by the camera. But in a high contrast scene, it's possible that the sensor won't be able to record all the detail in the deepest blacks and in very bright highlight areas of the image. So sometimes we have to compromise and choose if we want to see details in the shadows or the highlights. HDR photography is a way to capture all the detail in the full tonal range. There are several ways to achieve this. One way is to take several shots at different exposures, either manually or using the bracketing function of your camera, and then combine them into a single image using a third-party software. The second and quickest way is to use the built-in HDR feature found on Nikon DSLRs like the D5300, D7100, D610, D750, and D810. This function makes creating HDR images simple by combining the shots in camera for you. I'll explain how to set up your camera for both methods. Whichever method you choose, I highly recommend that you use a tripod so the camera doesn't move between each shot, and also to shoot in manual exposure or aperture priority mode so that the depth of field stays the same throughout the shots. Let's start with the bracketing function. I'll be using the D750, and since it's possible that the setup on your camera is a bit different, you should refer to the user manual before you begin. On the front of the body, you'll notice a button called BKT for bracketing. By pressing it and rotating the main command dial at the back of the camera, you can choose the total number of pictures to be shot. Let's go with 5. Still holding the same BKT button, rotate the sub-command dial at the front of the camera. This allows you to adjust the difference in exposure for each shot, from 1/3 of a stop, 2/3 of a stop. I'm going to go with 1 stop. The LCD screen of the D750 indicates that we are in the bracketing mode, and after each photo is taken, indicates how many are left in the sequence. Once the bracketing sequence is finished, remember to put the number of frames in the bracketing back to 0 to return to normal mode. All that's left to do is combine the images using a third-party software. Now we're going to look at the integrated HDR function. You must first ensure that you have a JPEG chosen for image quality, because the HDR feature will not be available if you do it in RAW. Go to the HDR option in the shooting menu, choose single photo so that once your HDR sequence is completed, the camera will revert back to normal, or choose series and the camera will remain in HDR mode until you turn it off. The HDR Strength setting lets you choose between a more natural end result by selecting low, or a more exaggerated one by selecting extra high. If you select auto, the camera will attempt to select the best strength depending on the scene you are shooting. Once the HDR option is enabled, pressing down on the shutter release button will cause the camera to take 2 shots in a row and will then combine them in camera to give you the final results immediately. Thanks to technological advancements, Nikon sensors are capable of some amazing feats, such as their great high ISO quality and their large dynamic range. But certain super contrasty scenes require a little bit of help, and the HDR mode helps to capture all of the data in your scene. So have some fun with it and play around with the settings to find out what works best for you. I hope you have a better idea of when and how to use the HDR mode in Nikon DSLRs. Thank you for being here, and don't forget, stay focused and be sharp.